from Saturday,
Yes.
where it talks about, that we aren't like, I'm not, this person, a wife, a student, or whatever.
Mhm.
How you feel about history being taught in schools, because history kind of links into identity,
Yes.
at least here, and I realized that from when I was growing up, and so I wonder about that, and how to approach my grandchildren with the conversation so that they can go ahead and get that now
Mhm.
versus have to get that when they're my age.
It's a very good question, Jill. Very good question. I ran into it when I was teaching history in high school to prepare like young adults for their final exams in high schools, and the topic was history. And Second World War was the unit. This is a unit. This is how they, in a way, in schools, or let's say the Ministry of Education, there is a teaching of history, and there's some points that people have to answer. I mean, history is divided to different periods, and next to each period, there is an exam. So I was teaching in a way, this was the unit. They call it unit, the unit of Second World War. Was the unit and Holocaust. And every day I came to class. Good morning, Cindy. I was teaching twice a day, mornings and afternoon. It was special school for children who, how do you say, quit from the general education because they could not find themselves for many reasons, from assault or from shaming, very sensitive people that they could not hold in this aggressive system called industry, how do you say, education industry. So they fell from different frames, and there's still special schools that connect and collect all of those children and tries to give them a second chance, a better chance, like less student per lesson, 5 or 7 and not 40. And this was the class and the topic as well. Excuse me, when I'm speaking to you, though it's very cold, I'm getting so warm that I have to adjust a bit because it's burning, this topic probably. So this was the topic. And I was teaching twice a day, morning sessions and afternoon sessions, because part of the children, young adults, they used to work, so it used to fit them. Some of them attended morning sessions, sometimes afternoon. And the more I'm teaching, the more I feel in my heart that there's a great lie. So this is the unit, those are the books, those are the working sections of, how do you say, you have the textbooks, there are pictures, there are movie, documentary, and there's like questions, working books and so on. And the more we should, yes, progresses, and the more the session progresses every day, morning and afternoon, I feel in my heart that this is a great lie, that something is completely different is going on. And I feel that not that this is a lie for the heart that speaks it, it's also a lie for the children. And I could not do this anymore. And I went, and in those parallel days that I was teaching, there was assembly here in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and I asked the headmaster to have 3 days off that I could attend this assembly, international assembly, and in completely different topic. And then in a way I took back, because I was not present every day, twice a day in the school. And I it's not a one moment decision, but it's like a rolling ball, like a rolling event, so to speak, that says withdraw from teaching. specifically history. So, but this was not the only event. Those children or young adults, they were 17. And the Ministry of Education, and this is a great story, I mean, for all humanity, if they want to learn something from. When children or young adults arrive at the age of 17 in Israel, they have the chance, opportunity to visit, to travel abroad as young adults at the age of 17. They have passport. They have the ability from school to take an airplane and to go to Poland, to concentration camp, to Auschwitz, and to have this, call this event Mitzad HaChaim, the March of Life. Why everything is connected, you soon will figure from the story, because this is a non-linear story. So from the 80s, there is, oh, this topic is burning. Who came even with this idea, yes, that children, like the young being born children, should travel, yes, abroad and visit instead of seeing, I don't know, dolphins or nature, will have to go and travel for 2 weeks to see concentration camps. You can ask the question because the question is valid. Apparently, and this is the laugh of life, there was a guy that in the 80s, he was adult. And when he was a child, he survived the Holocaust. And at the 80s, he was a member of the settlements next to Gaza. Look, see how everything is connected. He was adult, and he decided as an adult to travel to Warsaw to see the scenery of Holocaust camps or whatever. I don't know even words for it because I'm so filled with this experience. He decided as a young adult in the 80s to travel and to visit all those concentration camps that he was posted in as a child and survived them. When he returned, he returned back to Israel from this experience, see this experience as adult, and only flight time is 5 hours, I guess, from Tel Aviv to Warsaw. So he was convinced that he got God in his balls, so to speak. Sorry for the language, but you will see. He went in the 80s of the last century to the Ministry of Education and convinced them, I don't know how, that every child in Israel should have this retreat. Please pay attention. And go and visit the concentration camps in Poland. 2 weeks. He managed to convince the top notch of the education ministry, because in those days, in the 80s, people were still Holocaust survivors. They were still there was different times, so they were still working, and it's not now that they're fading out, but they were still in position. He managed to convince them. And since then, there is tradition, even almost must, that every young adult should go and visit those concentration camps. Of course, the parents are financing this. Some parents do not have extra money, but there's such a push from the surrounding that they take loans to finance this visit. And the visits are not in a very good weather. Usually this is in January. It's very cold. It's very depressing. The children who go through those experiences, they come with great retreat. I had a student, but slowly, they come with anorexia. They come with all kinds of weird behavior. They go and drink a lot because they cannot process, they cannot stomach this experience. So they go in the evenings and then they go to bars and pubs and they just drink a lot. And sometimes they break tables and chairs because they cannot stomach it, because it's not right. And so much so that it's a must. It's a must. Since the 80s. Since that year, I was teaching. The young adult, 17 years of age, came and say, Etty, we are traveling to Poland this year to the concentration camp retreat. You are a history teacher, join us. And I said, no, not, I will never step on this land. But they say, Etty, you are a teacher. There is a Holocaust museum, new Holocaust museum in Jerusalem. You are a history teacher. Come with us and go to the new museum. There was an old one, and they built a new one. It's not enough. So what can I say? I joined a one-day trip to the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, the new one. What shall I say? No words, of course. Just one word I switch with one of the guides, because you go to different rooms, to different sections. It's like a labyrinth. If you spend time in IKEA, it's built in a way of a stomach that you cannot cross and go out of the doors. It's built in a way that you will feel that there's no way out. This is the absolute reality. So I saw one of the lady guides that speaks about, because every room you have a different experience. There is experience that you are watching the trucks, because in the beginning they were taking them with gas, opening truck, start the engine, and let the exhaust, yes, the smoke that comes from the exhaust, like killing them. There are a few stages in this final solution, yes? So you go to a room and then you watch this black and white and you see the truck and you have this experience that you are being choked, because they let you experience this. And this is only the Museum for Holocaust in Jerusalem. This is not even Warsaw or Auschwitz or Birkenau or whatever. This is here in Israel, one-day trip. And then you go to another room and you see how the communities are prospering in Europe. They have their songs, and within a switch of a moment, everything will be changed. The Nazi will march in, and you cannot skip from it, because whenever you go, there is a new section of museum which is shaped that you will have more and more shock of having this reality as absolute. And I asked the lady that she was handling one of the lectures there about the communities before the war happened. They were living like rural life also. I asked her, how can you come here every day and just stand in this room and see this thing? And this is her work. Like in museum, you have like guides for art, and they explain about pictures, about archaeology, about old coins. She comes there every day. I said, how can you do that? Every day you're doing it and there's no way out. It's not that she leaves the room and she goes to drink tea somewhere. She can't. It's built in a way that it can't. Well, let me save you from this experience. Let's skip a bit. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the bus was coming towards Haifa. Just 2 hours driving, apparently 3 in the evening from Jerusalem to Haifa. And the children see that I'm not well. And they ask Etty, what is going on? Is it from the cold? They notice something is really, really wrong. But I went home and I just said, Eddie, enough. The next day or the following days, the children are already prepared. They have passports because was like, so to speak, the warming band. The concert is not even yet started. The Jerusalem Holocaust survivor is just a warming band before the real concert starts, meaning the voyage to Poland. Comes a mathematic teacher, a new teacher came into the school. And I refused already to go to Poland. And suddenly she comes and said, hey, Ora is light, feminine. She was the headmaster. And the new mathematic teacher came and said, hey, Ora, I would like to go to Poland. Like this, very fat lady with a lot of self-importance. I would like to go to Poland, she said to her. My grandma was in the Holocaust. I would like to go to Poland with the kids. And I'm just retreating. I didn't mind that she'll go to Poland or so. And the children went for 2 weeks and they returned. And one of the students, his name is Mordechai. Everybody called him Moti. He was from Belarus. They came from Belarus to Israel, lived a few years. He went to this school, and 17, he made this voyage with the other guys to Poland. And he came with a retreat. He was having fever for many, many days, and no hospital could find even what is this or what is going on. Another girl came with vomiting attacks and fainting attacks. And in the bus from Jerusalem all the way to Haifa, I hear the other guys, meaning we were teachers and there were guides. And they were also coming to this Holocaust museum to escort the children before they go to Poland. And they were speaking between them and saying, how was your voyage to Poland? Wasn't it fun? How was your voyage in June? Meaning it's an industry. It's a tourist for some people. It's a tourist industry. It is so sick. It is so sick. But this is not it. Let's go back to the 80s to this guy who convinced the Ministry of Education that every child should go for this experience to show the world that it will never happen to us again. This guy lived in one of the kibbutzim. Kibbutz is a settlement next to Gaza, Streif. Gaza, that you hear about, Gaza, 7th of October, I believe that you heard about it, the ongoing thing. And he was living in those settlements next to Gaza. And in 7th of October, you know what happened? In the invasion of the psychopaths on Israel, whom did they take? They killed 1,200 people in a couple of hours. Massacre, God knows, barbarian, no words even to describe. They took 1,200 people in few hours. And whom did they took as hostage to Gaza? Whom? He was already, well, in the 80s, he was a young man. Now he was a grandpa. Whom did they take with them to Gaza? Can you figure out? The guy that convinced the Ministry of Education in Israel that every girl and boy, when they reach the 17 years of age or before, they should visit the concentration camps under the banner, the March of Life. He created this thing that it will never happen to us again. They have this thing, never again. And in the 7th of October, Simchat Torah, he was the first one, what? To be kidnapped. 5 minutes from the fence of his settlement, and he's preaching up and down the alley. Never again for decades. You know how many children made retreat? I mean, like, some people never came over of this experience. With fever, with anorexia, with drinking, with breaking windows and chairs. They could not stomach it because it's not real. Something happens. We call it there is a term in English. Doesn't come to me at the moment. I heard something which is not beautiful. I will not repeat it because one of the guys that did this journey came and told us what happens to juvenile when they meet this. They don't know what to do with themselves. And breaking tables and chairs and glasses, this part of it, I don't want to go to the dark side of it. So I'm not following from close if people are every hour or 2 or 3 or days or 4 are being exchanged as hostages. But look at the joke of life. The guy who convinced all the Ministry of Education, and not just this, even officer. I heard from our neighbors 3 floors below, he told us that his daughter is an officer in the IDF. And it was a few years ago. And she said that in the army as an officer, the officers, they go to Warsaw, they go to participate in this March of Life. As soldiers of the state of Israel, it will never happen to us again. So he managed, yes, to convince first the Ministry of Education, then the Ministry of what? Defense, and even the air. Every year they take the airplanes, the IDF airplanes, and they fly above Auschwitz. We are the winner. Nobody will beat us. No one put us in gas. Yes. Yes. You see? This is a lie. The story is not linear. But once Moti Mordechai came back, and I saw that for a guy, 17 years before they go to the army, usually the boys, they run and they practice because they have to cross those tests and they want to serve, because in Israel it's a mandatory, you have to serve unless something is wrong. I saw this guy, he was like he lost 20 kilos in few days. He lost 20 kilos. He went into deep, how do you say, fever, that nobody could figure what it is. No hospitals could find it. A girl that went with him, I don't know, she came with the skin on her bones only. She fainted all the time. She could not speak. She was mumbling. And those are 2 cases that they came and spoke about it, meaning the Mordechai and the girl, they spoke to me about it. Imagine how many of them just are going there. Like it's a trip abroad, like you go to Hollywood. Mommy, get me a passport. And everybody is amazed because January, usually in Europe, it's snow in Poland. So they look at it, I don't know, blue-eyed, because they think it's a winter fashion. Now we shall go and buy a hat and a scarf and like good winter coat. It's like ski resort. This is it. This is it. This is F history. I don't want to say. This dude convinced the Ministry of Education, and then the IDF swallowed the pill of selfing. 15 months people are being milled here under rockets, under stabbing, under fire, under, and not just 15 months. This is the daily bread. You have like lunatics all around the state of Israel. They just want to kill. They wake up for murder. They wake up for blood. This is history. How shall you open the topic for your grandchildren? I just can give you another example from this morning. It has to do nothing with history. This morning was very stormy, very raining, and the things I have to arrange in the bay. So there's like storm and there's rain, and I missed the bus because I took another inner station not to get the wind, but it was like longer, so I missed the bus, and and the next bus is 20 minutes in the rain or so. And what do you do with the thinking start? You should have, you could have. So I came, said, okay, this station, the other station. So take a walk in nature, in the air, because now there's a system cold and people not leaving the house so much. So I took a walk to the other station, look at the timer, it says, okay, I said another walk. And finally the bus came. I was sucking wet, I can tell you that. The lucky driver put the whole heating on, so I just went to the bus, put my coat there on one of the seats. He was just streaming hot air, so he dried the coat, dried the head, dried the scarf, dried the umbrella. Until I arrived to the bay, everything was dry. Like I came from a salon, like a beauty salon. Everything was dry. I just wore the dry equipment, left the bus, went into the bay with a good mood, you know? So there's a rain. So you miss the bus. So you're sucking wet. Two children came to the bus, 2 stations after me. I was completely sucking wet. Two boys at the age of 10. They were wearing only a sweatshirt, not a hat, not a jacket, not a raincoat, nothing. Sweatshirt. They went to the bus, both of them, they were friends. And there was heating. And one told each other, it's hot. And after a few stations, they left. And pouring rain, nothing. They're so happy. It did not mind to them. You see? So whom do you ask? The whole notion of history comes from a sense of control. This is what it is about. Who is telling the story? How many listeners are listening? I wonder this year, I did not follow after this war if the airplanes, the IDF airplanes, have enough luxurious time this year to fly above Warsaw. Never again. They have a lot of job to do here at the moment. They're circling the sky here to protect every moment. They cannot have a leisure now to fly, yes, above Warsaw and drink coffee. They can't because they have to protect here 24/7. March of life. March of life. Story in history. Bullshit. Live every moment in your life as a happy creature. All the rest is bullshit. So there's a storm, you're sucking wet, the bus is late, the wind is flying you like a leaf. Really, when the wind comes, you feel like a leaf here. So what? Look at those two kids at the age of 10. Did they mind the rain, the storm? They even felt it's warm in a bus and they were not dressed. It was very cold and they were like having like sweatshirt. They were so happy that they have their independence. Two boys at the age of 10 traveling as friends in the bus. Nobody's above them, under them, like little guys, happy. You see? Everything is bullshit. And the bitterness comes from overthinking about the bullshit, which is not existing at all. Never again. The hybris in how do you say it? In Greek? They have the word hybris. Hybris is like pride, being proud about something. Yes. Yes. Never again. Convincing the ministries of state. The education is a great system here because there are many people. There are 10 million people. 25% are children. It's not little. And then, yes, the Ministry of Defense, and everybody's buying this beautiful sweet pill, the bullshit pill, because they can get our abroad in Europe. Wow. Cool, isn't it? Retreat and concentration camp. And this is not just it. We were in Berlin and we were listening to conversations of Americans that made retreat. Where did they take the people? American in Boulder, Colorado. Spiritual teachers, sages, where did they take their disciples? To Europe, to concentration camp in 2008. Yes. There you can feel God. You see? Questions?
Patty,
Yes. Yes, Jill.
I just want to thank you for sharing that story. I definitely understand what it is that you're saying. Um, yeah, I just was thinking that, as children, you don't see any differences. You just go through your life and you're having a great time. And then
Yeah.
when there's an introduction to something that tells you, oh, this is who you really are, then it goes in, it starts to change your identity. Then you start to relate to those things. I think that that's horrible to teach children that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it would be nice if school would just teach them, things that they feel like they need to know for whatever reason. But to give them something that tells them this is what you came from, this is who you are, it kind of sets them on a path, thinking, okay, this is the only way I can go, or this is what I need to do. Um, I just felt like that some specific things from history probably need to be left up to maybe if you're an adult and you want to go out and learn about it, but I don't know that it's necessary to teach children things like that. I think it does go in and kind of um, change the way they look at themselves, and then they start to relate to that, and then it could be just a mess waiting to happen in their future somewhere. But I just wanted your thoughts on it, but I really appreciate you sharing that story. Thank you.
Thank you. Also in Germany, they taught children about the war and the Holocaust, but they wait for them to be ready, at least of in age, if they want to. Here, it's not a question. It just you get it bitten into the system. And also in literature, there was like we were enforced to read East European literature. East European literature. Like if there isn't any other literature in the world, you see. So of course I rejected as a kid as well. I was most of the time outside of class. You can imagine that. I rejected bullshit, so teachers did not like this. So most of the time I was in the court of school, not in classes. When you refuse to eat bullshit and to obey, the air is your friend. It's a very good friend, and emptiness. People in general, they like to be liked. Yes, they like to be liked, to have a good word from someone, to have affection, to feel that they accepted by others. And this is a weak shackle, very weak shackle. You don't have to swallow what you're presented with as full and absolute reality. Just it isn't. Because it isn't. Every dominant group tried to portray a reality which just does not exist, whether it's a government or a news agencies or broadcast services. But it's ain't. Most of the thoughts which are running inside as narrations are bullshit. It doesn't matter who is the one who experienced the thinker inside of himself or herself. It's bullshit, most of the thoughts. When there's a need to do something, we go for it, but the rest, and we are being present at the moment. But the rest, to drink from those thoughts that tells me that I'm the thinker, that I'm the doer, it's a pure poison. So why to drink from this well, so to speak, and then experience life as an infinite suffering event? Because it's ain't. And soon it's over. It's a split of a moment, it's over. Questions? Rodrigo, questions? Fernando, Luke, Abigail, Yanis, Cindy, questions that you'd like to ask? Jill? Jill, the children are asking questions? Are the children asking questions? It comes from them? You speak freely and
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
yes, I can. I can hear you.
They're not asking questions, but um, two of my grandkids are homeschooled, and at one time when COVID was happening, then they were in virtual school. And so if they would be with me, then I would sit with them in their classes. And they were teaching them the same history that they started teaching me when I was young, and they were only in like second and third grade. And so over here, um, I just felt like we by this time should have moved past that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think that that's history that they needed to know, because then they start questioning who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a big, like, Civil War, slavery, stuff like that. So they
Mm-hmm.
start to relate themselves to that. And so
Yes,
I'm
yes,
like, yeah, that's not that's not who you are. That's not where we're going in our life. But
of course.
they weren't asking questions, because I think they don't know. They're just in school, and they didn't really understand that what was going on. But then they would start noticing differences. Whereas before they were just kids, just like, when I was a child, I was just a kid. And I'm,
Yes,
playing with my friends, and everybody's the same, and we're having a good time.
yes,
And then after going through some of the history classes, and, people are saying different stuff, and they're looking at you different, and you're like, what? And I'm like, there's a difference between us? I thought we were all kids. And so I just didn't want them to have to go through that.
it's
And
great.
so I do explain to them, like, okay, that's not who we are. So try not to relate to that, but it's part of the curriculum. But two of them are homeschooled, so there's a little bit more of a moving away from so much of the history and focusing in on something different. But definitely what I've listened to today, I can definitely, um, start teaching them. And over time, being in these classes has helped me tremendously, to help them to get more understanding as well. And so I really, really appreciate being in here. Thank you.
You're most welcome. There is a lot of load, unnecessary load, because it's not real. Of course, all the ministries of education or will cycle some kind of a story, because this is what they do. Like something useful, and I ask this question all the time. Something useful, how to, let's say, several weeks ago, I first time I learned how to make extension electric, how to say, cable for the heater. I did not know that, because don't mess with electricity. So something really useful for the children to know. I mean, not to know, just to move in life. It's not about knowing, but to fix a pipe, a water pipe, to fix something, yes, at home, how to install a curtain, all those things that are really for life. And they buffer the children. And I remember too, with all those cosinus, sinus, charts of numbers, and all of those things unnecessary. Just as a kid, you just want to live life. You meet friends at school, and you have good gags and so. But all of this is not necessary. How do you say, the system of education does not do anything. It's just like a grid that holds the children in, fenced in, that the parents could go to work. It's like babysitting services. It's not school. No. 1/3 of the children, 1/3, it's a lot, 33%, of the children, they suffer from bullying. 33%. It's a lot in all countries, in all ages. Some being beaten physically, some are being beaten with words. Some children experience shaming and sieging from other children. It happens in school. It happens outside of school because they have phones these days. You see here, you hear we live next to a school, general school, like one from elementary school, from 1st to 6th grade, already 7:30. You hear the honking, the parents just because there's a little island there to not to park, but to let the children leave next to the gate. So already chop, 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 everybody's honking just to want to drop off the children before they go to work. So it's like a babysitting compound until they will return at 5, at 6, or 2, 3. It depends, yeah. But it's like an arrangement. It's not educating, yes, anyone. Just an arrangement, acceptable arrangement. Of course, the parents are agreeing to this because they have to provide. They have to provide mortgages or rent. They have 2 cars. Life is expensive. So they give their consent to it. In their mind, in their brain, there's like the child is protected from 7:30 to 3:30, 4, 5 in the afternoon. So I don't need to worry, so to speak, for another arrangement. So I can work and provide. This is it. But to teach, to learn, 40 children per class, a very, very condensed space. Not enough facilities for drinking, not enough facilities as toilets, as soaps. It's not fun. It's not fun or healthy. Yes. Not just in America, but all over the place, because it has nothing to do with life. It's just a frame, a fence, a jail around life. Also in Israel, it's not any different. There's no teachers who would like to work as a teacher. Let's say they start at 2025. Once in former generations, people used to go to be teachers. And why? Because there was a promise that a pension is guaranteed to them. But people cannot, it's almost impossible to work as a teacher for decades, at least physically in classes, to get every day into a class of 40 children, 6 hours per day, 6 days per week, even 5. It's impossible. It's not, it has nothing to do with the life flow. So there's a lot of, we say, exhaustion in the system. So people are withdrawing all over the world, Fernando. So people who are good teachers are withdrawing because if they're a bit healthy in their mind, they're leaving. And there's no one there to enter class, not even students. Like students, let's say 3rd year in university, I mean, the system of education in Israel is so desperate that they call everyone, even student, to come and to teach and to enter those classes, because right teacher, fit teachers don't want to go there, don't want to enter the classes. So they ask students, and now even students are refusing to go to the classes, and they're asking children from high school to enter the classes, and they take even unfitted people, like they don't have a job at all, just to that someone will stand in front of the children. And the last time I heard recruiting people from India or Malaysia or Filipino to come as teachers, like Israel issues like visas, like working visas to people from all over the world to recruit team that will enter classes, because nobody wants to enter classes. So people bearing children, but no one wants to be with the children. No one wants to be with them. And those who are going to daycare, there's like abusing people, because this is what it comes with 40 children in each class. It just matter, it's just industry. It is poor, but this is what is happening. I saw in this school they bring everyone from religious circles, from the villages, anyone who is willing to enter any class. They're so desperate. There's a lack of thousands of teachers in the system, because no one is willing to enter those conditions and to face those conditions. It's like even animals will not agree to this. Yes, Fernando. Yes, I will tell you. Fernando, for Waldorf school, to remove the veil from Waldorf school, I was teaching in a Waldorf school. It was so great that children never took showers in the Waldorf school. Part of the education, if they don't want to take shower, they don't take shower. And after a while, they come with lice, and they don't brush their teeth. Yes, it has many. By the way, Waldorf school has to do, yes, it has to do with the Nazis. Have you heard this before? Fascism and Nazism? Yes. You remember Professor Israel Cohen? Yeah. Professor Israel Cohen translated a Weimar book, Roots of the Bible, to Hebrew in the 80s. Again, it arrives again into the same 80s. And he managed to bring this even into print in Hebrew, but in Argentina, I believe, I think. I have the text. He sent me the text. And he later on, after he did it, he also several years ago made a deep research about Waldorf school and anthroposophic education. And he wrote 2 volumes about this topic. I bought the books, and I was speaking to him, and there's many articles of his. And after researching for so many years, he says that it took him 7 years to write those 2 volumes. And there's like conclusion of research. Yes, Fernando? Hello. Good morning. Can you hear Fernando? Cindy, Yanis? Abigail? No. No. Try to log in again, maybe. Is there anyone who can hear Fernando? No. Let's try again. He'll try again. Yes. Yes. Yes, Fernando?
Hello, Eti.
Hello,
Oh,
good morning. How do you do?
I'm fine, thank you, Eti. Good morning, and it is amazing what you are bringing, Eti. And many things came to my mind that I brought this idea of other school, but in fact, if you go deep, it also brings the another factor that is like this kind of fundamentalism as well, just as you said. That you brought some examples, it brings the other part that is also problem. And but I was, you do not have to go so deep. I was thinking just the structure, if you could say something about this as a structure of human. Why people need to be fundamentalist in some way. Because no, I was listening and was thinking, if we read it now, last Shabbat, we have the Shira Shabbat, the Shabbat of the song from Moses, and this idea of being free, the idea of being free from the Egypt. After we have all the journey through the desert till the Holy Land. The promise is that in the Holy Land everything will be fine. So it was meant to be everything fine. If we look at the Christian tradition, the crucifixion of Christ, he purged all the sins of everybody, so everything was meant to be fine. If you
In
read,
which, yes, but in which world do you live?
no, I know it,
Excuse me. In which world do you live? By being here, born, people are just, this is what they do. They just drink from this well called me and myself and my story, and this is it. And this is a body, and this is my body, and this is my entity, and I'm walking God. Excuse
yes,
me to stop.
and I was just thinking about this burden that the institutionalism is to put it on, like what you said about uh, this whole picture of what happened in Israel to is the most horrendous side of humanity. You put people to look at it constantly, so they cannot be free at all because you are always facing something that is overwhelming. This happens all in the Christian tradition. You need to confess, and everybody is a sinner.
In which world do you live, Fernando?
And
In
you need to
which
face the
world?
cross.
In
No,
which world do you just really? I am asking. First, there is a question from Rodrigo I would like to answer. The conclusion of Professor Cohen was that anthroposophic schools and Waldorf school are leaning on anti-Semitism. Yes, I can send you the articles. They hated him. He proved this. He read the German text. He read. He made a research of 7 years. I can send you this. It's all bullshit. It is all bullshit. I don't know in which world you live, but it's bullshit from right to left, from left to right, from upstairs to downstairs. It's bullshit. Experience. I worked in this school. I saw the children.
Oh, at this shadow side, I completely agree with you.
In which voice do you speak? To whom do you speak? And the behalf of Christianity, which does not exist, hallucinatory dream, on the behalf of of whom do you speak? Who defines what Christianity? You speak about in the voice of Judaism, there isn't. Christianity, there isn't. Islam, there isn't. There isn't. It's just concept. And you speak in those voices like you try to circle the wisdoms of thousands of years of men's stupid race. Where? Where do you live? Where? Where? You cannot circle it. You cannot capture it. You cannot go to the bottom of it. You can't. Because whatever you will try, you are the maker of it. And we are not. We're not the thinkers. We're not the maker. We're briefly here for a few years and then we're out. Not we, as the body ceases to exist and the consciousness continues. But whom are you narrating? On the behalf of whom do you speak? What stories do you weave in your mind? And for what? What does it give you? People want to experience God, let's say, in Colorado. So they go to concentration camp in Poland to find God. Sitting still next to concentration camp, they find God. They're illuminated, bright people. We are the chosen people. Yes. Bullshit. Nobody is chosen. Nobody cares. Because this is the truth. All the rest is stories. It's a bullshit. It's a first narration. The cat does not tell himself that he is chosen. If it's cold, he takes a refuge under the bush or find a house that is open and he will pass out next to the heater. Everything is bullshit. When will you wake up? When? When? What is needed to happen that people will wake up? What? What? No government, no municipality. Live your day happily. And this is it, like a kid, like you go to school, you meet your friends, you have fun, you have gags together. All the rest is bullshit. People are very concerned while what will happen to them. Yes, and they plan their pensions years when they will withdraw. Who guarantees then that they will arrive? Everything is bullshit. You have this moment and this is it. It's not having this moment here. Either you're present or not. You engage with things which are not existing. Maybe you have a lot of energy or I don't know what resources. Life is short. Really. Nobody knows when he's going to get his email and then he's back. Where are we living? In which movie? To speak on the behalf of religions, it's a bit ambitious. Too much to circle things that do not exist at all. They don't exist. Look at the churches in Europe. They're all empty. They become yoga centers. They become weapon storehouses for Muslims. In Sweden, the churches, they become concert halls because nobody comes to the church, at least to give the community a service. On behalf of what or whom do you speak? Those things do not exist. Do you? Where? I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here. Greetings from Eniola. He wished everyone greetings. Few moments before class, he entered and say hello. He couldn't participate in the online conversation. There's a great research of Dr. Israel Koren about Waldorf school, anthroposophic school, the roots of those special school from people that nobody can reach from their spiritual height. Yes, I will send you those articles. Rodrigo, maybe you're interested. Thank you everyone for being here. Shavua Tov, good season, and see you soon. Litraot.